Hey, gang. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the lair. And we are going to be diving into a story straight out of New Orleans today. This is a gruesome one. So happy Sunday. This story involves the prominent family, the LaLauries. Marie Delphine McCarty, prominent Creole family during the Spanish colonial period. All right. So she married three times, buried two husbands, and after this story, we're going to wonder why. A massive inherited fortune. So this bitch is crazy. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. This bitch is crazy. So this was on Royal Street in New Orleans. So if you're familiar, it's 1140 Royal Street. I highly recommend doing a drive by, not after dark, and don't stay too long. Now, he was a French physician. And so 1831 comes along and he bought the property. A grand neoclassical townhouse where they hosted soirees, elite parties, all the highest class socialites were there, prominent figures. But there was a dark secret at the LaLaurie mansion. There was whispers of cruelty. Local authorities had investigated Delphine for extreme slave abuse as early as 1828. And her elite status, it protected her from legal consequences. Sounds like what has gone on this day and age with cases such as the Epstein files, hmm, and others. But on April 10th in 1834, it is said that a 70-year-old enslaved woman who was chained to the stove set this fire so that she could escape. So this massive fire broke out on Royal Street, and this ended up exposing the household's horrors, preferring death to continued torture. This 70-year-old woman chose to light a fire while she was chained to the stove still. So, as firefighters and bystanders break in, trying to help and rescue people, put the fire out, they end up in the attic chambers. Now, they broke down the locked doors and they discovered the hidden attic room containing seven heavily mutilated, starved, and chained enslaved individuals wearing spike collars so that they couldn't move their necks. Just awful. Just awful. There was citizen outrage. There was a lot of panic. And during this panic and uproar, this is while an enraged crowd of thousands of local citizens, they swarmed the mansion, completely stripping and demolishing the home in a like multi-day riot. So this went on, and they were looking for her, but the great escape artist that she is, mm, duh, just so many bad words for this woman I have right now in my mind. But before the mob could tear her apart, Madame LaLaurie and her family burst through the gates in a carriage, escaping to Lake Pontchartrain, boarded a ship to Europe, and spent the remainder of her life hiding in Paris, completely escaping justice until her death in 1849. But we know she didn't escape divine justice. We know that. The original structure was heavily ruined by the mob. So in 1838, the property was purchased and rebuilt into a three-story style mansion. It stands on Royal Street today. So, they gave it a facelift. They put stucco over it. But what's underneath that stucco are red brick and tortured souls. That you can't erase. I'm sorry. Over the past 2 centuries, the building has served as an integrated girls' school, no thank you, music conservatory, tenement apartment complex, and was even briefly owned by actor Nicolas Cage in 2007. Now, he did lose this home in 2009 to foreclosure, but it's also said he lost his mind while living in the LaLaurie mansion. Became a heavy alcoholic. He thought it would be a great place to live and write a horror novel. I think his life became the horror novel, if you ask me. There's a lot of stories, rumors around Nicolas Cage at this time. He even purchased a tomb in New Orleans, one of our biggest cemeteries here. The paranormal rumors, though, they trace back to the 19th century. Tenants and visitors, they frequently reported hearing phantom chains rattling. I don't doubt that. Disembodied screams echoing from the upper levels and seeing ghostly apparitions standing in the windows. It is even said that a 12-year-old girl was seen by neighbors falling to her death from the roof of the LaLaurie mansion because she had brushed Madam Delphine's hair and snagged a knot. So she was being chased by whips from Delphine herself when she chose death over torture. Why did this happen? We wonder. Well, there's so many speculations. From family trauma and revenge, a prominent theory suggests that the violence stemmed from a deep-seated vengeance. Before Delphine was born, her uncle Jean-Baptiste McCarty was murdered during the uprising of enslaved workers, and local lore frequently reshaped this story over time to say that Delphine had witnessed her own parents being murdered, fueling the lifelong, pathologically violent hatred. We don't know if that's true. It's been reshaped and rumored and whatnot. Severe mental illness and sadism, more like appropriate theory to me. But historians categorize LaLaurie as a textbook psychopath or a clinical sadist. Her third husband, Dr. Louis LaLaurie, was significantly younger than her and mostly absent from the household affairs. It is thought that she suffered from severe mental illness and utilized the total unchecked power of the antebellum legal system to just exercise cruel, impulsive behavior and torture behind closed doors. But vile, grotesque theory here in folklore. And we don't, I could say that this was exaggerated. However, we don't know the extent of her torture and her madness. Decades later, the sensationalized rumors that were being told, and these stories allege that victims had their limbs amputated and rearranged, their skin, trigger warning here, it's very vile, skin surgically pulled back to resemble caterpillars, or brains stirred with sticks. Descriptions were, fabricated in the 19th and 20th century. However, her husband, a French physician, early New Orleans gossip suggested that the attic atrocities were actually grotesque, unauthorized medical experiments conducted by the doctor himself, and Delphine acting as an accomplice providing the human subjects. So both of these vile vermin deserved to be extinguished, in my opinion, but they escaped. And over the years, the stories and rumors have just like gone wild in New Orleans. And you can ride by the home and see it for yourself. I'll share some pictures of the day I tried to ride by. It started raining, absolutely just pouring. The sky opened up as I got within a block of the mansion. If you decide to go by the LaLaurie mansion, take a tour of it. Don't stay too long. Like, subscribe, and share if you don't mind. Thanks, friends. All right. Stay safe.